Today we're gonna learn how to hit the slice forehand. And I know what you're thinking. If you're a coach out there, you're just thinking like, oh, slice forehand, the bane of my existence. And that's because a lot of players overuse slice. And this is especially true for juniors, that once they learn the slice, they just become slice happy and it's all they use. They feel like it's a magic trick that no one knows the reveal for. But part of the reason they tend to use it or overuse it is because it allows you to be a little bit lazy. Your footwork doesn't have to be as great, your contact doesn't have to be perfect. You can get away with kind of being sloppy with the slice. Now, as I say that, there's plenty of really great players that hit slice off the forehand quite a bit. If you look at the likes of Fabrice Santoro, there's a local guy that plays at a 5-0 level that slices everything. But there are times outside of that just being your playing style that you have to slice. And namely, that's going to be on defense. You see, if you're getting pulled to the outer thirds of the court, a lot of times you've got to switch over to that continental grip and play defense with slice, whether it be a chip or a lob. We like to call it the slob, the slice lob. You're going to have the ability to slice off the forehand if you're playing defense. The second reason is that you're going to have to use it to implement offense, because if you're interested in hitting drop shots, where you're going to do that using the slice forehand, using a continental grip. Additionally, just like we saw back in kind of the golden era of tennis, chip and charge is a great offensive strategy utilized off of a slice forehand. All right, so we have defense, offense, and then the last one is changing up rhythm. It's probably the one that you're going to use the least. I'm not a huge fan if you're in the middle of the court trying to change rhythm here, going to a slice forehand, because most of the time, the optimal choice is going to be to get through the ball, to come over the ball with your topspin drive. But if you want to kind of change up the rhythm of the point, using the slice forehand is a great way to do that. So now that we know the why, let's talk about the how. How are we hitting the slice forehand? Most important thing is that you have a chopper grip, a continental grip. Some people call it the hammer grip. And the reason being is it's just like you're holding a hammer, right? If you're going in and you're holding your racket where the manufacturer's name or the type of racket is up top, it should be even with the V in your hand. But we won't spend a lot of time on that. If you're not familiar with the continental grip, then plenty of other videos out there. Make sure you get familiar with the continental grip. The big piece with the slice forehand, though, is that unlike the topspin forehand where you're going low to high, you're starting high to low. We want to make sure that we're operating the racket above the plane of the incoming ball. You can kind of stay even depending on how low you want to keep it, but ultimately you need the racket head up, off at a 45, and then keeping the racket tip up above the ball. It's going to be a lot like your volleys. We want to keep the racket out in front. Now this is the big piece, because keeping the racket out in front is going to ensure that you don't take a big swing. I think a lot of times when players suddenly learn to slice, they really want to kind of hack at it. They want to chop at it, and that's because they want to take the racket back. Don't take the racket back. Keep it out in front. Now, a great way to practice this, as you'll see in the demo, is by simply catching the ball off the racket, keeping the racket in front, catching the ball off the racket, and then taking it in the air for a volley. All right, so step one, remember, got to start the racket up and above the ball, keeping the racket out in front. Now, step two is all about your footwork. We want to make sure that we're getting momentum forward. So when you set out to hit your slice forehand, take a step out with your right foot. You're going to do this on your volleys as well. And when you're ready to drive forward, make sure the left foot is pushing the racket forward, right? So I'm here and I'm pushing forward. I want that weight moving towards my non-dominant foot as I strike the ball. Now, the second tip is about what you're actually doing with tension. I think a lot of times when we slice, we end up getting this way, like we end up chopping, right? The wrist and everything is too loose. We actually want to impart a bit of tension when we're doing this. So the way I like to think about this is squeezing with the bottom two fingers and then your thumb, all right? So when you're going to make contact, squeeze the bottom 2 fingers in your thumb to control the head of the racket, the blade of the racket. Playing with the blade. But you want to control the blade of the racket, right? So if I'm leading with the edge here, I want to make sure as I drive high to low that I keep that integrity of the stroke by squeezing these 2 fingers in the thumb in order not to go across my body. Piggybacking off of tip 2, it's all about controlling the side of your body. You want to keep the stroke on the dominant side, and you want to point the tip in the direction that you want to hit the ball. So there, if I'm going down the line, I want to make sure that the racket tip faces down the line, but you can tell that the stroke happens only on the dominant side. Now, if I'm going cross court here, I'm going to step out, keeping the racket out in front. I'm going to predominantly keep the racket on the dominant side, and then an afterthought, the racket tip will follow in the direction. But what you can see here is that I'm never opening up so that my belly button is facing the opponent. As I slice, you can see that the belly button stays sideways, and then the afterthought, if I'm going cross court, is the belly button follows the butt cap. All right. If you do these 3 things, you're going to have a great slice forehand. But let's talk about the fun stuff. Let's talk about the drop shot. What is the difference here? Well, the difference with the drop shot is that you want to make sure that you're just playing soft, right? So as the ball is coming, instead of driving through that high to low, I want to take the ball, I still take the racket up high, but as the ball is coming, I build a ramp and I'm cupping the ball. All right, now here your racket will operate as if it's kind of on the inside of a bowl and playing that ball up. Just remember in your drop shot, don't be afraid of height. You just want to make sure that you have a bunch of spin. If the ball goes 6 feet over the net but bounces 6 times before it exits the service line, you've done your job. Now, the final piece I'll add with the slice forehand, because I think it's really, really important, is the slice lob. If we talked about the drop shot, building a ramp and playing softly right over the net, and instead on the slice lob, simply make that ramp firm. Firm it up. As the ball comes in, right, firm it up and push up. Play that ball high, transitioning weight forward so you can execute that slice lob. That slice lob. The slob. Couldn't decide whether I was going to say slob or slice lob, Katie, but I got through it. Guys, if these tips helped, please let me know. Leave them in the comments section. Hit that like button. Share it with somebody that you think this video might help. And if you are looking for tennis players, a new racket, anything tennis, that's exactly what Play Your Court does. Check us out in the link below. I'll see you next time.